Hi everyone, welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel, whatever the case may be. Today we're talking about how to read tea leaves. I've been interested in the art of tea leaf reading, or otherwise known as tasseomancy or tasseography, for years now. I began by just studying books, and there are not very many books that have folkloric or historic references, so they don't go way back. But I got my hands on all that I could. Perhaps I'll share some links below, especially one of the oldest books that are available currently, so that you can check out a little bit of the history. And after I read all I could about books, I was given one of those tea sets, a teacup, that already has the markings in it, the Cup of Destiny. And there have been several over the years. Some are very expensive now, but one of the most recent versions was just being sold at places like chain bookstores in America, like Barnes & Noble. Maybe 15 years ago, 10 years ago, and I picked one up, the Cup of Destiny. The color scheme was like red and black markings within the cup, came with a matching saucer, and I wasn't feeling it, especially when I saw the horoscope signs. Not really my thing, and it seemed like it was trying too hard, if that makes sense. And so it sat and collected dust for a while, and I sold it in a yard sale many years ago. So after that, I did a little bit more like internet reading. Some more internet resources were available, a bit of practice. And then last year, I studied with Karen Ward. She's a fairly well-known medium and clairvoyant. She's based in Illinois, in the Chicago area. She's done a lot of work at Camp Chesterfield, and that's where my daughter and I took her course. I think it was called The Art of Tea Leaf Reading, or The Art of Reading Tea Leaves. I can't remember. And I heard they're going to run it again this year, so keep an eye out if you're nearby or you're willing to travel to Indiana, to historic Camp Chesterfield, to take the course. It's probably going to be presented in a workshop format, like an all-day setting. And she had studied under a well-known and respected gifted reader who had been a medium as well. I believe she was also connected to spiritualism. And she, the person that Karen had studied beneath, had been doing it for many years. She was well known at being incredibly accurate and effective at reading the leaves. So at that point, I got the one thing I'd been looking for the whole time, and it's probably what historically is the best way to learn reading tea leaves, and that's through the oral tradition. You know, you learn from someone who learned at the hand of someone else, who learned at the hand of someone else, and then you have to do a lot of hands-on practice. So those are my qualifications. I don't know, do I need to get out my diploma of tea leaf reading for you? I don't have one, and I don't pretend to. So that's where we're at, and if you're interested in pursuing this a little bit further, hang in there. I think I'm going to do a series of short videos. This is the first of that series, called Reading Tea Leaves. Maybe I'll call the whole playlist on my channel Tasseomancy or something like that. So that's what you'll look for. And where we're starting today is the information that I've received that's been passed down through the generations, not through my family. I didn't grow up in a Vardo, a caravan, anything romantic. I'm not the seventh daughter of the seventh daughter of a seventh son. That would sound really cool. That's what people will tell you on Facebook about themselves. They're probably lying. So I'm just a regular girl in the Midwest who was interested, and I put a little bit of time and a little bit of reading, and then I found some people that knew a few things, and that's how I got here. So I'm going to share it with you. I have a lot of subscribers who are tarot enthusiasts, and if you're a tarot enthusiast, there's a good chance that a portion of you, tarot enthusiasts, will be interested in tea leaf reading. And so if that's you, you're in the right place. This first video, we're going to just talk about supplies. What do you need? And you don't need much, and you could probably even have less than what I'm going to show you today. But here's what I think you need and what you probably want. And so we're going to start with a teapot. This is a very tiny, diminutive teapot. Isn't it lovely? I chose it for other reasons, for the symbolism that's painted on the pot. But it doesn't matter. You can have any kind of a teapot, and you could skip the teapot, and you could have a pan on the stove of hot water, or a tea kettle, like a metal, tea kettle that you use straight from the stove. What I'm going to do is heat my water in a tea kettle on the stove. That's what I do anyway. And then I will pour it in here with the right mixture of loose tea, and that's how I will brew my pot. This tiny little pot probably is good for 4 cups. 4 cups is great for a round of practice for yourself. It's wonderful for you reading for yourself and a couple of friends, or just you and a client, and then you can pour a second cup if you need clarification and a little more information and you want to add depth to their original reading. So you don't need a big giant teapot. It doesn't have to be 105 years old. Anything will do, but this is kind of cute. It puts you in the mood. You will need a teacup. And there are a couple of videos already on YouTube, and they say similar things. You can use other cups. You can use all kinds of things. But best bet, and the way I learned, was a minimalist or blank inside. Not too many curves on the outside, not too much of an in and out. Things can get caught there. You want it to be more free-flowing, more smooth. The saucer can be useful. It's going to catch some of your extras and your loose water at the end after you finish sipping. And you have the option if you want to go intermediate level, and you can read the saucer as well. So go with what you enjoy, what you like. You can make anything work, anything at all. Don't let them fool you. It doesn't have to be the Queen's China. But those are my best recommendations. Obviously, tea. I am not advertising for anyone. I'm just going to show you what I happen to have on hand that would work well. So a classic black tea, right? Like an Earl Grey. Loose leaf, not in the bags. But if it's in the bag, you can cut it out of the bag. The problem is, things in the bag are often finer, more powdery. They're less bulky. They might make less interesting, bulky, 3D kind of shapes in your cup. You can still read them, but if you want to start where it's simplest and the easiest path to reading, I'm going to say just loose leaf. So you can have a black one. You can have a green tea. We did both at the workshop I went to in the fall when I was taking Karen's class. So let's see if I can, oh, it smells nice. So this is a green tea. It's got ginseng root also. See that? So it's a little bigger, a little bulkier. It's not as fine, but it's going to be dark, easy contrast. Imagine the leaves wet, and you can see how they would stick together and form shapes. Part of it's going to be your technique and your imagination, I would say. And then this is kind of, I have an affection for this tea, right? So I love anything with hibiscus. I might be part sloth in that way. So this is one of the 3 or 4 hibiscus teas that this particular brand carries. You can make your own. You can get all kinds of gourmand, expensive blends. You can make a tea straight out of your garden with your herbs. I'm not going to say it's going to taste great. Depends on what herbs you have. You don't even need tea to read the tea leaves. You can read the herb leaves. So you can get all kinds of creative. And yeah, so hot water is the other key. And that's really all you need to get started. Maybe you would like the medicine to go down a little more pleasantly, and in that case you might want to have a sweetener. You can sweeten your tea in whatever manner you prefer. You may add a little cream and make it creamy tea. You may have some slice of lemon. Sometimes the lemon brings out the beauty of the color and the aroma of various herbal ingredients. It depends on what kind of tea you have. The process should be pleasant. You should get relaxed. If you're interacting with a client, or you're the client and you're interacting with the reader, it's nice to be relaxed and you're having a nice heart-to-heart conversation, hopefully about the topic at hand that you need to hear about, but maybe it's just a catch-up, hang-out conversation while you're enjoying your tea. And when you get down to the very last sip or two and there's just a wee bit of liquid left, that's when you stop. That's when you stop, and that's when we start reading. So this is the first video of the series. It's very introductory level, but if there's enough of an interest, I will go intermediate and possibly advanced level, if there is such a thing, because I haven't seen that on the interwebs yet. So there's my chance to make an original contribution. If the world doesn't want it, then I won't go there. But we're going to start here. We'll start with supplies. Go get your supplies, and if you really have to, you can heat up water in a microwave. You could do that. It's not very romantic. It's not very aesthetic. I don't even know if it's healthy, but if that's where you're at, you can do that, and you will have your hot water to brew a cup or a pot of tea. So go get all that stuff and meet me back here at this playlist, and we'll proceed in How to Read the Leaves.